Hello, everybody. Today for our last Christmassy story, we're gonna read Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was the day before Christmas, and all through the hills, the reindeer were playing, enjoying their spills. Every so often, they'd stop to call names at one little deer not allowed in the games. Ha ha! Look at Rudolph. His nose is a sight. It's as red as a beet, twice as big, thrice as bright. Twice as bright. While Rudolph just cried. What else could he do? He knew that the things they were saying were true. Where most reindeers' noses were brown and tiny, Rudolph's was red, very large, and quite bright, quite shiny. In daylight it sparkled. The picture shows that. At nighttime it glowed, just like the eyes of a cat. Although he was lonesome, he always was good, obeying his parents as good reindeer should. That's why, on this day, Rudolph almost felt playful. He hoped that from Santa, soon driving his sleigh full of presents and candy and dollies and toys for good little animals, good girls and boys. He'd get just as much, and this is what pleased him, as the happier, handsomer reindeer who teased him. So as night and the fog hid the road like hood, he went to bed hopeful. He knew he'd been good. While way up north, on the same foggy night, old Santa was patting his sleigh for its flight. This fog, he called out, will be hard to get through. He shook his round head, and his tummy shook too. Without any stars or a moon as our compass, this extra dark night is quite likely to swamp us. To keep from collisions, we'll have to fly slow. To see where we're going, we'll have to fly low. We'll steer by street lamps and houses tonight, in order to finish before it gets light. Just think how the boys and girls' hopes would be shaken if we didn't reach them before they'd awaken. Come Dasher, come Dancer, come Prancer and Vixen, come Comet, come Cupid, come Donner, come Blitzen. Be quick with your suppers, get hitched in a hurry. You too will find fog a delay and a worry. Oh. And Santa was right, as he usually is. The fog was as thick as a soda's white fizz. He tangled in treetops again and again, and barely missed hitting a huge speeding plane. With not getting lost was needed all of Santa's skills. With straight signs and houses and numbers more difficult still. He still made good speed with much twisting and turning. as long as the street lamps and house lights were still burning. At each house, first checking what people might live there. He quickly picked out the right presents to give there. But lights will be out after midnight, he said, for even most parents have gone to bed, because it might awaken them. A match was denied him. Oh my, how he wished for just one star to guide him. Their dark streets and houses, old Santa did poorly. He now picked presents more slowly, less surely. He really was worried, for what would he do if folks started waiting before he was through? The night was still foggy and not at all clear when Santa arrived at the home of the deer. On the roof, with the clouds all around it, he searched for a chimney and finally found it. The room he came down in was blacker than ink. He went for a chair, but it turned out a saint. The first reindeer room was so very dark, so very black. He tripped on the rug and burst open his pack. So dark that he'd have to move closer to the bed and peek very hard at the sleeping deer's head before he could choose the right kind of toy, a doll for a girl or a train for a boy. Whoops. But all this took time and filled Santa with gloom. While feeling his way towards the next reindeer's room, the door he just opened went to his surprise. A soft glowing red-colored light met his eyes. The lamp wasn't burning. The light came from it instead from something that lay at the head of the bed. And there lay, wait now, what would you suppose? The glowing, you guessed, was Rudolph's red nose. So this room was easy. This little red light, this one little light, let Santa pick quickly the gifts that were right. How happy he was until he went out the door. The rest of the house was as black as before, so black that it made every step a dark mystery. And then came the greatest idea in all history. He went back to Rudolph and started to shake him. Of course, very gently, in order to wake him. And Rudolph could hardly believe his own eyes. You could just imagine his joy and surprise at seeing who stood there at a paw's length away and told of the darkness and fog and delay. And Santa's great worry that children might awaken before his complete Christmas trip had been taken. And you, he told Rudolph, might yet save the day. Your bright shining nose, son, can lead us the way. I need you, young fellow, to help me tonight, to lead all my deer on the rest of our flight." And Rudolph broke into such a big grin, it almost connected his ears and his chin. He scribbled a note to his folks in a hurry. "I've gone to help Santa," he wrote. "Do not worry," said Santa. "Meet me in my sleigh on the lawn. You'd get stuck in the chimney." In a flash, he was gone. So Rudolph crouched out the door, very gay, and took his proud place at the head of the sleigh. Oops. The rest of the night, well, what would you guess? Old Santa's idea was a brilliant success. And brilliant was almost not the word. It was almost no word for the way that Rudolph directed the reindeer and sleigh. In spite of the fog, they flew quickly and low, and made such good use of the wonderful glow that shone from Rudolph at every intersection that not even once did they lose their direction. At all of the houses and streets with signs on them, the sleigh flew real low so Rudolph could shine on them. To tell who lived where and just what to give whom, they stopped by every window and peeked in the room. Old Santa always knew which children were good and minded their parents and ate as they should. So Santa would pick out the gift that was right, with Rudolph close by, just making just enough late. It all went by so quick, it all went so fast, that before it was day, the last present was given away. The very last stocking was filled to the top, just as the sun was preparing to pop. The sun woke the reindeer in Rudolph's hometown. They found the short message that he'd written down, then gathered outside to await his return. And were they surprised and excited to learn that Rudolph, the ugliest reindeer of them all, Rudolph, the red-nosed, black, bashful, and small, the funny-faced fellow they always called names and practically never allowed in their games, now envied by all, far and near, for no greater honor can come to a deer than riding with Santa and guiding his sleigh, the number one job on the number one day. The sleigh and its reindeer soon came into view, and Rudolph still led them as downward they flew. Oh my, was he proud as they came to a landing, right where his handsomer playmates were standing. same deer who used to do nothing but tease him would now have done anything just only to please him. They felt even sorrier they had been bad when Santa said, "Rudolph, I've never had a deer quite as brave or as brilliant as you at fighting black fog and at steering me through. By you last night's journey was actually bust. Without you, I'm certain we'd all be lost. I hope you'll continue to keep us from grief on future dark nights as Commander-in-Chief." While Rudolph just blushed from his head to his toes, till all of his fur was as bright. Till all of his fur was as red as his nose. The crowd first applauded, then started to shriek, "Hooray for Rudolph!" and "We want a speech." But Rudolph, still bashful despite being a hero, was tired. His sleep on the trip was totaled 0. So that's why his speech was quite short and not bright. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And that's why, whenever it's foggy and gray, it's Rudolph the red-nosed who drives Santa's sleigh. But be listening this Christmas, but do not make a peep, 'cause that late at night children should be asleep. The very first sound that you'll hear on the roof, that is, if there's fog, will be Rudolph's small hoof. And after that, if you're still as a mouse, you might hear a swish as he flies round the house and shines enough light to give Santa a view of you in your room, and when they're all through. Ow. Sorry. You may hear them call as they drive out of sight. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. The end. Oh, there's a little thing on the back about what I just read out. But I hope you all enjoyed this story, because I did. Yeah, that might be the end of our Christmassy stories for now. Maybe. But I'll try to find more wintery stuff maybe later. So stay tuned. Okay. See you later and goodbye.